Welcome to Issues. As you know, Issues is a program for the community. We like to talk about community topics and bring you individuals who are making news in the community. And if you ever have a suggestion for a topic, you can feel free to email us. You see the email on the screen. Or if you would like to make a comment about any of the programs that you have seen, please feel free to email us also. You may also go to our website and see past programs of Issues. Today we have with us a fireman, someone who has a designation in firefighting that no one else in Bermuda has. And I know you're wondering, who is this person? Well, meet Jamel Albuoy. Jamel, welcome to Issues.
Thank you, Richard.
Now, what is it that you have done so significant that no other firefighter in Bermuda has?
I recently received a professional designation with the Institution of Fire Engineers. And there are several levels in the institution. At this moment, I receive the member grade, and it's about 7 or so various levels, and I receive level number 6.
Wow! So just one away from the top level.
Yes, that's right.
Now, and what is that called? That particular level?
It's a member grade. Member grade. Correct.
Now, couple questions. Why did you want to do it, and how long did it take you?
That's a good question. I first set out, well, let me just go back one sec. I work at the headquarters down at Southside in St. David's. And in our hallway we have...
Let me interrupt you. What is your rank now?
I'm sorry. Currently I am acting lieutenant in the training division at the service.
So you're, in terms of qualification and designation, you're kind of up there.
Yeah, I'm a sort of a middle manager. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now continue. Why did you want to do this, and how long did it take you?
Yes. So as I was saying, on our wall in our hallway, we have pictures of the fire chiefs going back some years. And each of those pictures, I always noticed that there was these acronyms on behind the person's name. So every time I passed by, I would glance at the pictures and always wondered, like, what are those letters? What do they mean? So I approached one of our senior officers, Dana Lovell, you know,
yes,
Brother
yes.
Lovell, from Southampton Church. And
that is the Southampton Seventh-day Adventist Church he's referring to.
Yes. So I had asked him, and he's a divisional officer, which is another rank above lieutenant. So I asked him at the time, I was like, DO for divisional officer for short.
Oh.
I said, DO, what is IFE? What does it mean? So he sat me down. He says, Jamel, it's a highly recognized and respectable organization. It's internationally known. They have tons of members in there, but it's not something that you could just sign up and say, I'm a member. You have to actually prove yourself to be a part of this organization. So he said, I actually am a member, and he's at the graduate level, which is a couple of levels below member grade. So he went on the website and he showed me exactly where it is, what is involved in it, and told me, he said, I think you should go for it. Because at the time, I was looking at joining an organization, a fire industry organization, just didn't know quite which one to join. So he suggested the IFE to be the one that I seek out.
Okay.
So.
And this was about, what year was this?
This was actually last year, actually.
Oh.
It was just last year.
So it only took you a year?
Well, there are 2 ways that you can become a member in the organization. Mm-hmm. One is you go through their various testing levels and you have to pass the exams, and then you get bumped up to another level and so on. Or you could do it academically. In 2011, I had just completed my bachelor's degree in fire science. So he said, send in all your information and see what happens. So I said, okay, cool. So I filled out the application form. Now, I wasn't really expecting to get in at such a high level. I was actually expecting to come in maybe...
At the first level.
At the entry level, exactly. So when I sent all my qualifications, my certificates that I've done throughout the years, sent it in. This was in October. A few weeks later, they replied back and said, Mr. Albuoy, with your various academic accomplishments, you can actually become a member grade. Wow. So I was like, whoa, really blown away. So I shared it to D.O. Lovell, and he's like, Jamel, you don't realize what this means. So I'm like, well, please explain. He's like, if you look at the pictures up on the wall, you will see that all the fire chiefs have this grade. Yeah. So I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. So I said, okay, well, let's go for it. So again, I had to submit some additional paperwork because you apply to the organization, but you need referees to vouch for you. Yeah. And they have to be at a certain level. Well, unfortunately, Mr. Lovell, he couldn't be a referee.
Yes.
So I had to seek outside Bermuda to get some referees. Well, that in itself was a daunting task, I tried the UK, and I sort of ran in a few roadblocks because I went on a training course up in Gatwick, a breathing instructor training course, and some of the officers there said, sure, we can find you someone to vouch for you. Well, it didn't necessarily pan out, so I came back home and I sent an email back to the UK office, explained to them my situation, and they said, well, you can try the US branch or one of the other branches. So I did that. That was in November, around my birthday, because my wife surprised me for my birthday. Sent me over to see Kelby, my best friend.
Kelby
McCartry.
Oh, yeah. It's personal. Some of us, we know Kelby McCartry. He used to be a pastor for the Seventh-day Adventist Church here.
Right.
Yes.
So I went over to see him, spend some time with him. And while I was over there, I got a reply back from the U.S. branch, and they said, sure, we'll be willing to sponsor you or referee for you, but we just need a few additional pieces. So it was like all these little hurdles that I had to keep jumping. So nonetheless, I sent an email back to my supervisor back here at the fire station and said, listen, I need you to draft me a character reference letter, which he had no problem doing. On top of that, I had to send in a professional review report, which kind of outlines all of the jobs that I've been working on thus far in the service. So I sent that, and then you had to also submit IPD, initial professional development report. So it shows how you can apply your fire engineering skills, to the jobs that you've done. So with all this paperwork, this massive paperwork that I had to put together, I sent it off to the U.S. branch. Now, the deadline was December, early December, because they take all the applicants, then there's a panel that reviews all the applicants, and then they will say yay or nay if you are worthy of the
having the referee.
Right. Okay. So I sent all that paperwork in. The deadline's approaching. For some reason, my representative in the U.S. branch kind of went silent. I think she was out of town. Yeah. So as the deadline approached, I was really getting nervous. Yes, So she sent me an email back and said, oh, I've been out of town, but here it is. Here's my signature. Oh. And then another gentleman, he said, here's my signature. Right. So we sent all that information over to the U.S. branch. Like I said, back in December, they replied back, and I was, at first I was denied because they wanted to see more work involved that I have done.
Did that discourage you when you got denied? Did that discourage you?
For a minute, it actually did. I was
because you had done all of this other preliminary work, been denied by England, and now here you're sending in some more work. Couldn't hear from the person that you wanted to sponsor, and now you're denied.
It was very troubling at the moment, but I persevered. I knew this is what I wanted to do. This is what I wanted to get. So I kept going. So then I redrafted my work, sent it back off to the U.S. branch, because that's the membership where I'm located at, and then they forwarded on my information to the Home Office.
In the UK?
In the UK, that's correct. That's where the Home Office is. So at the time, they said they'll be meeting in February, early February.
2013?
This would have been 2014, just...
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yes. couple, recently.
A couple of months ago,
yes,
that's right. So of course, now I'm biting my nails, waiting for the response. And then I shot off an email to the Home branch saying, listen, I've sent off everything that you've requested. I hope it's sufficient evidence to prove that I'm, capable of the designation. So they said, well, the panel will be meeting very shortly, and we'll get back to you. I was one day late in February at my desk down south side, just doing work and stuff like that, my normal duties, and an email popped up on my screen. Of course, it said IFE. And I quickly opened it up, and I started reading, and lo and behold, they said, "Congratulations, you've been accepted." And I just went over the moon. My coworker, she was sitting there, and I began to shout to her. Then I stopped. I said, "No." I printed it off. I took it to Mr. Lovell. I said, "Dio, read that." So he started reading, and he looked. He was sitting down at the moment. I was standing up. So he stood up on his feet, and he looked me square in the eyes with a, stoic look that he has, and says, "Jamel, congratulations." And that was like the best feeling in the world.
Wow.
To know that I stuck with it, and all of my previous work with the fire science degree, really paid off because I stuck with it.
Yeah, that is truly interesting, and this is what you have accomplished is a big thing within the fire services, both in the UK, here in Bermuda, and in the States. So that is no small thing that you have accomplished. There's 7 steps, 7 stages, and you are one away from the top. That is amazing. Now, let's back up, way back up. Why did you choose the fire service?
Why did I choose the fire service? That is a very good question. When I first began, I really wasn't interested in becoming a firefighter, to be actually honest. I graduated from Andrews in '97.
Andrews University in Michigan, where you got a bachelor's?
Yes, that's correct.
A bachelor's in?
A bachelor's in science in industrial technology.
Industrial technology, okay.
So it was along the lines of graphic arts and stuff like that. So I came back home. I was working for a bit, excited about, fresh out of college, doing a job, working in the field that I had picked. And even before that, I ran away to be an architect. But then once I got out there, I was like, I don't know if that's really for me. So I changed my major. Nonetheless, I was working in graphic arts.
And we're going to stop right there. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and continue this exciting story with Jamel Albuoy. Welcome back. We have been talking with Jamel Albuoy, firefighter, and he has accomplished something that no other firefighter in Bermuda has accomplished. He has achieved the designation of a member grade in the Institution of Fire Engineer, and he is the only firefighter in Bermuda to have accomplished that. And we've been listening to his story as to how he achieved that. Now, he was telling us as to why he became a firefighter initially. Continue.
So, as I was saying, I didn't set out to become a firefighter. I graduated from Andrews University in Michigan in '97, and I came home. I was working as a graphic artist, Shortly thereafter, though, the post was made redundant. So I was out of a job, and obviously I was looking for work. So I knew someone that owned a furniture store. So in the meantime, I'm trying to find other work in the industry, but at that time it was very difficult breaking into the graphic arts industry in Bermuda. So I set out, to work at the furniture store.
But selling furniture?
Yes, working in the warehouse, doing whatever, trying to put food on the table.
Bachelor's degree from Andrews University in Michigan, and you have to move furniture.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And this was in '98, I believe.
Did you have a family at that time?
At that time, I did have a family, so a wife and a young child. And no job.
Yeah.
So I was working at the furniture store. Then Christmas of that year, they gave us a check and said, Merry Christmas, but this is it. So again, another devastating blow. I was out of work for a few months after that. Then my cousin, I happened to see him in town one day. So he looked very excited, and I was like, hey, what's going on? He said, oh, the fire service is hiring. So, of course, I'm somebody with a young family, needed a job. So I said, well, let me go try, see what happens. And I read the advert, and it's like, job security, yes. Good paying job, yes. All the marks I started to tick off. I was like, this sounds like a pretty good deal. I know I went to school for one thing, but life has a way of throwing spanners. And I adjusted to that. So I signed up in February of '99. I'm sorry, November of '98. And I was hired in '99, in February. I went through the rigorous process.
So you said November, so December, January. So 3 months before you actually got hired.
Right. Mm-hmm. The recruits course started in February, I believe, or around that time. It was 26 weeks of training, EMS training, firefighter training, working with the spreaders and cutting tools and things like that.
Was all that training here in Bermuda, or you had to go all in Bermuda?
All of that, with the exception of doing marine firefighting. We went overseas to in England, and we did training over there for 2 weeks or something like that. Then I came back home. At the end of the training, I was awarded outstanding recruit of so it was pretty good. And then once I got going on the shift, I had an excellent crew that I was working with. The camaraderie, the brotherhood, all of that, which I was like, hey, this is a pretty good job. So I just stuck with it, and I've been there for 15 years.
Wow, interesting. It seemed like things that were happening in your life that maybe God was leading, even through some of the disappointments, getting terminated or whatever at other jobs, that led you to the fire service. Now, let me ask you, you're not on the fire truck anymore?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, the times that you were on the fire truck, as a first responder, did fear ever come into you?
Not necessarily fear. I can only remember one incident where I thought it was pretty bad. And this was at the first major Balco fire. I don't know if you remember that, when the whole island was shut down, right? Yeah. We was at that scene, and the fire was pretty bad, pretty intense, and I was asked to do a certain duty. And as I was approaching, I was like, something could go wrong, and I kind of hesitating approaching the scene, and luckily, thankfully, nothing did go wrong. But I wouldn't say fear is something that you want to have within you, because it kind of prevents you from acting. Now, we're trained and taught that you act responsibly, but fear is not something that you want to, hold on as you're working in this industry.
It could prevent you from doing your job.
Acting. Exactly. Exactly. when everyone's rushing out, we're rushing in.
Yeah, yes.
You know, so that fear is not something that you want to, you know.
Now, as you moved up the ladder to where you are now in terms of acting lieutenant, how did that happen? How did you, well, I think first of all, just getting outstanding recruit was a big accomplishment, but how did you start moving up the ladder?
Okay, after I finished the recruit course and I was working, you have to go through a series of exams. First, you have to do a probationary exam to confirm you as a firefighter, and that's after 2 years. Then I did another exam, which they no longer have anymore, excuse me, the third year. And then after that, I did what they call the sergeant's promotional exam the following year. And then
now it sounds like all of this is academic. Wow,
yeah.
I mean,
it is.
You look at the firefighters. All these are academic people. My goodness.
We have some very good people in the service, believe it or not. You know, it's not just about putting on a helmet and spraying water. You know, there are things that you have to calculate, how much water, how much pressure you need when you're dealing with a certain issue. There are tools that we use that you have to know how to use correctly when you're using the spreaders and the cutters and things like that. So there's a lot of academics that are involved. It's not just, you know, boots and helmets.
Yeah. So moving up the ladder now.
So yeah, as I was moving up the ladder, I had to take another exam, the lieutenant's promotional exam. Initially, I didn't pass that one. That one was a little more challenging. I had to do that 3 times, I believe. And then the final, I think it was in 2005, I actually passed that exam altogether. I'm actually in the post of sergeant, which is just below lieutenant, but I act up as lieutenant.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for the call to confirm me in the post now. So.
Now, I'm sure we have young people watching us this evening. What could you say to them in terms of encouraging them to become a firefighter? But before you answer that, are there any female firefighters?
Yes, we actually have one female that is an actual lieutenant.
Wow.
Yeah, we have another female that just set her promotional for sergeant. There's 3 others. One was a driver, but she's no longer a driver. And then there are 2 other female firefighters. Now,
do they have to go through the same rigorous physical training as the male?
Yeah, that's right. They're doing the same job, so there's no special privileges given. They have to do the exact same training and workouts that the males have to go through.
Now, and I asked you a question which we'll get back to, but you mentioned drivers. So are there different jobs that firefighter has? What are some of those different jobs that they have?
Okay, you have the person that's in charge of the overall vehicle or the crew. He's what's called a sergeant. So he would normally ride in the front, give directions, give commands, what needs to be done. Then you have the driver who is responsible for getting the water to the firefighters in the with the hose. That's his primary function.
What do you mean like hooking it up to the truck or the hydrant?
Right. Okay. So he will hook it up, connect the hose to the truck, get the pressure and the water to the other 2 firefighters that are dressed in the BA sets to attack the fire.
BA set.
Breathing apparatus. I'm sorry. I'm using vernacular that we use at the job. So yeah, then you would have the firefighters that ride in the back of the appliance. Their primary responsibility, obviously, is extinguishing fire, cutting people out of vehicles. They would do medical emergencies as well.
EMTs.
EMTs, right. So we have a large volume of EMTs in the service now. Okay, back to my original question. What is it that you can say that can motivate young people who might be watching to join the fire service? The fire service is a very good career for a young person. There are various opportunities. They can work in the operations division, or those are the ones that primarily respond to emergencies, fires, and things like that. No 2 days are the same. Then you have other divisions like fire prevention. I had a good stint in there for about 6 or 7 years. Primarily, our responsibility is when buildings or commercial properties want to do renovations or there's new development, they would then submit drawings to that division, and we review, ensure that all the life safety features are in place. So, for instance, the smoke detectors, emergency lights, fire extinguishers, evacuation systems, exhaust systems, and stuff like that are in place. So when you're working in there, it's safe, but not only for you, but when we have to respond, the building doesn't come crashing down on us.
So they're not out in the field.
No.
They're technical people in the office evaluating architectural drawings and so forth. Okay.
And then we meet with interior designers, consultants, things like that on these very large projects.
Yeah, so let me ask you, so whatever building is going up in Bermuda, part of the approval process is the architectural drawing will come to that particular department of the fire service.
That's
and,
correct.
And they need to give their approval.
That's correct.
To make sure that the building is safe.
Safe, that's correct, yeah. Then we also have the training division, which I'm now involved in, where we go out and assess firefighters, make sure that the training is being done correctly. We also train outside agencies. Like right now, we have a group in from Marine and Ports who are getting trained in the breathing apparatus to be certified, as quality users. So there are various different departments or divisions, I should say, where a young person can work in the service. It's not all working on the truck. We have one guy that he's just got a paramedic certification. There's overseas training that they can attend. There's numerous opportunities within the service.
Now, let me ask you, Jamel, does everyone need to have a college degree like you did to get into the fire service?
At this moment, no. Okay. As long as you have a high school diploma or GED, you can apply. Although, let me add that I see the industry changing. As I had mentioned earlier, I did a bachelor's degree, and when I went to the graduation, I was talking and mingling with some of the other graduates and asking them how their jobs are going. And a lot of them indicated that it's now being required
to have a bachelor's.
So I'm not saying that it's going to change right now in Bermuda, but I can foresee that maybe there may be another way of getting in the service if you have a bachelor's degree.
Okay. Thank you so much. We have been talking with Jamel Albuoy, a fantastic and outstanding firefighter who has accomplished a designation, fire engineer, and the grade level that he has. No other firefighter in Bermuda has that. We have been listening to his story. There have been moments when he was discouraged, but he overcame those challenges, and he is now where he is in terms of an acting lieutenant in the fire service. So again, Jamel, we thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
We thank you for watching Issues, and we will see you next time.